What if I told you there was a Stanley Cup winning Hockey Hall of Famer who also had his name etched on the Grey Cup, and was also in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame? And what if I told you that at only 16 years old, he won the Ontario Amateur Wrestling Championship and went on to hold an undefeated professional wrestling record, and at 20, won the Canadian Amateur Light Heavyweight Boxing Championship, and went on to hold an undefeated professional boxing record? And what if I told you he was one of the greatest lacrosse players Canada ever produced, and was inducted into the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame? And what if I told you he played professional baseball, was inducted to the Canadian Sports Hall of Fame and Ontario Sports Hall of Fame, and was named Canada's Athlete of the Half-Century by the Canadian Press? Would you believe it? If you didn't hear about Big Train Lionel Conacher's life and sports career from a reliable source, you'd swear it was too fantastic to be true. Lionel Pretoria Conacher was born in Toronto, Ontario on May 24, 1900. He was the third of 10, with 4 brothers and 5 sisters. Lionel grew up under challenging economic circumstances, but through sports, he achieved unimaginable accomplishments and success, both within and beyond the realm of sports. He never forgot where he came from, and fought for the less fortunate his whole life. Conacher is only one of 3 players to have his name engraved on both the Grey Cup and Stanley Cup, and is the only athlete to have been inducted to both the Canadian Hockey Hall of Fame and the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Conacher had a 12-year career in the NHL beginning in 1925, mostly with the Montreal Maroons, where he won a Stanley Cup in the 1934-35 season. His first Stanley Cup win came with the Chicago Blackhawks the previous season, where he played a pivotal role. Conacher finished second in the voting for the Hart Trophy that year, and earned a spot on the NHL's first-ever All-Star team. Conacher also won a Memorial Cup as a member of the Toronto Canoe Club Paddlers in 1920. As a hockey player, not only was Conacher a solid defenseman, he was also known for his fighting. He was among the penalty minute leaders, and even had a fight with his younger brother Charlie, a leading goal scorer with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Lionel's younger brothers, Charlie and Roy Conacher, are also Hockey Hall of Famers, and his namesake, Lionel Jr., was a first-round Canadian Football League draft pick. His son Brian represented Canada at the 1964 Winter Olympics and played for the Toronto Maple Leafs, winning a Stanley Cup in the 1966-67 season. Pete Conacher, Lionel's nephew and the son of Charlie, also played in the NHL, as did another nephew of Lionel's, Murray Henderson, who was the son of Lionel's sister Catherine. Former NHL player Corey Conacher is also a distant relative of Lionel's. The sporting successes of the Conachers led them to being referred to as the first family of sports in Canada, and hockey's royal family. In football, Conacher's running style earned him the nickname Big Train. The Globe and Mail called Conacher one of the most feared ball carriers in the game. Conacher once ran for 227 yards in a single game. Not only could Conacher run the ball, he was an exceptional kicker and could punt a football 70 yards. Conacher's play that year led the Argos to an undefeated record, and he personally accounted for 15 points in their 23-0 Grey Cup victory over the Edmonton Eskimos. Conacher also played professional baseball in the AAA International League as a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team, and in 1926 his team won the pennant and the championship. He once famously hit a triple to win the Toronto City Baseball Championship, and then rushed to the other side of the city by taxi to find his lacrosse team trailing 3-0 in the Ontario Provincial Final. Conacher promptly scored 4 goals, and added an assist, to lead them to a comeback victory. Conacher also competed in swimming and track and field events, and enjoyed hunting and the outdoors with his brothers in the off-season. After retiring from sports, Conacher was elected to the Ontario legislature in 1937, and to the Canadian House of Commons in 1949 and again in 1953. Conacher also served as the sports director for the Royal Canadian Air Force during World War II. He tragically died in 1954, just 2 days after his 54th birthday, suffering a heart attack after having just stretched a double into a triple in a Parliament Hill softball game against the Press Gallery. The annual Canadian Press Award for Male Athlete of the Year is, for good reason, named the Lionel Conacher Award. So, the next time you hear of a sportsman excelling in multiple arenas, remember the tale of Lionel Conacher, a man who was, indeed, a master of all trades in the sports world.